Last week, the Browns made one of the most puzzling signings of free agency, bringing in former Bears guard Teven Jenkins with no vacancy on the offensive line for Jenkins to really start at. So, a lot of people were wondering, why was this signing made? And once the contract details came out, it looks so much better for the Browns when it already looked good for Cleveland to start with, because I think Jenkins is a good player, thus a good signing. But I love it even more that it's a 1 year, $3 million contract. A former second round draft pick who, when healthy, and that's a big, bolded, italicized, when healthy, is a very, very good guard in this league. He was one of the best tackles in his draft class. A back injury flared up leading up to the draft and shortly afterwards. He missed much of his rookie year for Chicago. Then he moved around the offensive line a lot for the Bears, playing left guard, almost everywhere except for right tackle and even center. So a lot of versatility with Jenkins, but a 1 year, $3 million contract for someone who is at worst an average guard. Like, that appears to be his floor when he's healthy. But of course, I keep repeating that, when healthy, because Jenkins has missed a lot of time in his career. And that is, I think, a big reason as to why he got such little money in free agency. We saw a lot of other offensive linemen get good paydays, and they stunk. Like Dan Moore, he was awful for the Steelers, and the Titans made him a highly paid player. Jenkins is hands down a better player. So why did he get a 1 year, $3 million contract? A few theories. One, met with a couple of teams. I know he met with Seattle. I believe he met with New Orleans. And during those meetings, the medicals were no bueno. And the teams decided, we're not going to take a risk on someone who just has way too many medical issues. And that's very accurate. Like, you look at the last 3 years for Jenkins and you go, all right, this is a guy who misses like 3, 4, 5 games, but he still plays a lot, right? Yeah, but even when he's out there, a lot of those games that he does play in, he doesn't finish. Look at 2024. He played in 14 games, a career high. That would indicate arrows pointing upwards. He only played 65% of snaps. So there are so many instances where Jenkins will play and start in a game, but can't finish the game with either an ankle injury, a soft tissue injury, a back injury early in his career. He got back surgery. Like, that's concerning. So I think the medicals were probably filled with red flags, but the Browns decided, hey, for $2.6 million guaranteed, we'll call it $3 million to make the math easy. We'll take the chance on that. Plus, there's some upside here. Like, I think the Browns could have told Jenkins, let's say you have 2 or 3 offers. Here's nearly a fully guaranteed contract, which you may not find elsewhere. So if you do get injured during the season, you can at least rely on $2.6 million no matter what. Also, we've got a potential starting role for you in 2026. So we're going to let 2025 be a little bit of a trial season, see if you can stay healthy for us to begin with. And if an injury pops up, which it has to Teller, and Posick, and Batonio, really every starting offensive lineman, now that I think about it, has had some injury pop up over the last 2 years, we can feel confident with you stepping in and it not being a James Hudson disaster. So looking ahead a little bit, the Browns, they always like to move 1 or 2 steps ahead when it comes to constructing their roster. And I could see this being a signing for 2026 with Batonio, Posick, and Teller all scheduled to be free agents next offseason. The Browns pitched to Teven Jenkins to sign with them, a place where he doesn't really have a chance to start, unless you believe theory number 3, which we'll talk about in a moment. The pitch would be, we're going to guarantee almost your entire contract for this season, and we can see a starting role for you in 2026. There may not be a better offer out there. In fact, there probably wasn't. Otherwise, he would have taken it. I don't think it's Jenkins' life calling to be a Browns backup guard. Not from Ohio, played Oklahoma State, drafted by the Bears. So this was probably one of the best offers he could get, and it's not the worst one if he has truly a bunch of medical red flags. We're going to talk about theory number 3 in just a second. But first things first, I do have to give a big shout out to our friends over at Hello Tushy. Finally, a resolution that isn't a pain in the ass. Tushy bidets fit on your toilet in under 10 minutes, improving your health and saving you time/money every time you visit the Oval Office. Installation is simple and takes about 10 minutes to complete. Literally anyone can do it. Hello Tushy Bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. The Tushy Bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. I lived in Japan growing up, and they have mastered the art of hands-free bathroom trips, and I witnessed it firsthand. So take it from me when I say this is a game changer. Instantly improve your health from the bottom up. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That is 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code CHAT. I put all that information for you guys in the comments and description of today's video. Check them out today if you haven't already. The third theory as to why the Browns signed a backup guard who has real starting caliber experience to him, they're looking to trade Wyatt Teller. Joel Petonio announced that he would not be retiring, and I always had a hunch that either Petonio or Teller would be gone for 2025, just given the price tag. Now, when the Browns were able to put together a new reworked contract with Jack Conklin to lower his cap hit, aka a pay cut, that might have opened the door for Teller and Petonio to stay on their current deals. But I could see the Browns looking at Teller as someone maybe to move on from now. When they drafted Zach Zinter in the third round last year, I don't think it was to sit on the bench for 2 to 3 seasons. I always interpreted the Zinter draft pick as we've got our Teller Petonio replacement for 2025. Now, did not play super well in 2024 when Teller did go down. So maybe they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit between Jenkins and Zinter to possibly replace Wyatt Teller, who I believe can still play at a starting caliber level. Like, he's 30, he turned 31 in November. The guy made 3 straight Pro Bowls up until this past season when he missed 4 games early on with the knee injury. But when he came back, did the offensive line not vastly improve with him back in the starting lineup? Remember the disaster of the Raiders game in the second half? They sure could have used Teller out there. So I still think he is a starting caliber player, and any team would like to have him on their starting 5. But I did see this trade idea from the 33rd team. It's a publication, a media site filled with like former GMs, execs, things like that. And they proposed a Browns Seahawks trade, sending Teller to Seattle and a day 3 pick swap, where the Browns jump up from one of their 4 6th-round draft picks to round number 4. It's not the worst trade idea I've ever seen. It is sad to see, though, that Wyatt Teller, starting quality guard, 3 Pro Bowls in the last 4 seasons, he is viewed as a 5th-round draft pick. 3 Pro Bowls. I know he's old, contract, yada, yada, yada. Still, doesn't he feel like more valuable to you than just moving up from 179 to 137? But the Browns are currently, in a spot where they have a lot of 6th-round picks they can throw around. And I do not expect them. In fact, I'll state it right now on the record. I would be shocked, borderline resign from my job, if they use all 4 of their current 6th-round draft picks. I expect them to use those picks as chips, as assets, currency, to move around in the draft or to acquire players. So, not the worst trade idea in the world. You move up to round 4, and you've got 2 replacements on your bench already, in Jenkiins and in Zach Zinter. But I think Teven Jenkins is a very good football player if he can stay healthy. That's the big if. Now, let me know if you think it's a good idea to trade Wyatt Teller. Give me a yes or give me a no in the comment section. With this new salary cap, with this new contract details coming out, in case you're wondering, how much money do the Browns have to spend? More than you might realize. They've got $18.5 million in cap space. Now, it's important to remember that at this point in the calendar, we really should be looking at effective cap space because the Browns have to pay all of their rookies. So they have to have some money set aside for all those rookie contracts, which are going to have cap hits. So basically, they've got $10.1 million in effective cap space, which is plenty to go out and sign anyone. I mean, if you sign a player to like a 1-year, $10 million contract, that doesn't mean they have a $10 million cap hit. So the Browns have always liked having some money set aside for a little bit of emergency spending if they want to make a midseason trade or a late signing in August, and they just love rolling it over to the next season anyway. Let's end today's video with picking a card. Shout out to Dylan. Two Dylans. I got producer Dylan and then Dylan Sutcliffe. Dylan, which card do you want to go with?
Let's go 2 of hearts.
I'm going to say 8 of clubs. No, Queen of Hearts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We're going to sign off, and we're going to see everyone later with more on the Brownies.